Sometimes the stream startup is really smooth, and sometimes I'm not quite sure if it's working. But it looks like we're live on YouTube. Are we live on Twitch too? Looks like we are. Cool. Well, this is kind of a quick stream. I haven't quite made it as official as to like post anything about it yet, but I might actually have like a streaming schedule for this channel. I'm thinking at least sort of 2 scheduled streams a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, kind of a like work day stream sort of for people in the like US and areas and like whatever time zones you can catch like that during your workday maybe. But then it also seems like I get a lot of people kind of showing up for the early streams for me when they're say like 7:00 p.m. in Europe or something, or in UK. So yeah, those streams seem like they could be good for that, for those 2 kind of groups of time zones. But then, I want to still do kind of random streams, and so this is something more random. I was intending for today to be more about errands and editing and scripting and that kind of thing, solo work. But the mouse that I use for editing is really in need of cleaning, and the left mouse button is no longer working really. So I know that might not seem appealing, but I actually really like these mice, and it might be nice to take them apart and just see like which wireless chips they're using, and it might make a really quick, interesting little stream and a little bit of interesting footage to include in another kind of teardown / cleaning montage video that I'll have some other footage too for also. So anyway, sorry about the rambly introduction. So yeah, quick stream, a little bit of footage, maybe some of it'll be useful. Since I don't have a lot of stuff to get through on this stream, and it is mostly like taking things apart and photographing them, I guess maybe it can be a bit more like, like a chatty kind of stream too, if we want it to go in that direction. I wouldn't really mind. Another thing I thought about doing is intentionally setting up certain streams, or maybe there's even some other format that would work better than streams, like maybe Google Hangouts or something, but something that's more like office hours, and where because I think I've been kind of overly grumpy on streams lately when I get a bunch of questions while I'm trying to pursue one particular line of like building code or reversing code or something. Like I'll be trying to go in one direction, and I feel like the audience is like pulling in a bunch of different directions, and like personally I have trouble with that. And so it makes me sad that like I end up in that frustrated position more than I would like. So perhaps one way to counteract that is to intentionally have some environment set up that are like just about the like following questions, and not really expecting to get work done, and then having other streams that are like about getting work done. So yeah. Well, Dean says something about cleaning the mouse ball. Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy to clean the ball on this trackball. Like you just like take it out and like wipe it down or something, and you can like rub the lint out of the sensor. That's easy, but I think I have to actually take it apart to clean the buttons, which is the problem I'm having right now. I also actually have 2 of these. There's one I'm using right now to drive the stream, and then there's and that one I don't think is having trouble, although if we feel like it, we could take apart both of them. This would also be the one that I'm using to control the stream, though, so there's that. Take it apart live. And then there's the one on my that I usually use for the workstation. Same model. They're just paired to different receivers. And yeah, this one's a little dirtier in general, because I think I spend more time on the workstation than streaming, despite the long streams. All right. So yeah, I think this might just be a little bit of interesting footage to add to something else. I don't know if it'll be that interesting, but I'm happy to stockpile footage about taking stuff apart, right? Oh, James was asking about the shirt. Yeah, this is actually that band that that I was helping with their music videos recently, Rook and Nomi. Rook from that band made this t-shirt, and I don't actually know if it's promoting Rook and Nomi stuff or just Rook's own stuff. I think it's just Rook stuff, but like it's still pretty cool. I think it was on some t-shirt. Oh, I'm so bad at merch. There's some site that sells t-shirts, you know, I know that narrows it down. Billiard ball trackballs? That seems much larger and heavier than you'd want, right? That would really wreck your thumb after not too long. Does Maplin have fade candy? I don't know off the top of my head. I think they might. A lot of people seem to want like an updated fade candy, like something that does RGBW and something that does APA 102s. I don't know. I would actually like to to add RGBW support. It's just kind of tricky given that it was never really designed to be extensible, so like it's not just adding a new format, it's design and extensibility mechanism. And the lack of extensibility was pretty much intentional. Like, I mean, you know, if I had wanted to put an infinite amount of development into it, I probably could have made something that was as easy to use while also being more extensible. But like the lack of extensibility is really a direct consequence of just designing it to do one thing really well. And so I'm kind of reluctant to mess with that, especially given how many other ways there are to drive LEDs these days. That's auto ISO, isn't it? Yes, that's auto ISO. Cool. I think we're good. So, do we want to take these both apart? Let's just take this one apart for now. Is that highlight really going to be as blown out as it looks? I think this light is a little too far away today. Is that getting better? Not yet. I feel like the way this usually goes is I bump the exposure down right now, and then I bump it back up in in Premiere. I've been doing a bunch of editing, and so many of the clips need their exposure raised in post. So like maybe I just really should have a camera with a real-time histogram. That would be nice. So yeah, I've already turned it off. Let's also go ahead and take the batteries out. Oh yeah, this one also runs off of a single battery, which is pretty cool. Oh man, I hate to break this up, but I really should get a cup of tea or something. I'm just now realizing as I'm trying to speak that I really have no ability to do so because of lack of moisture in my upper body area. I'm so paying attention to you. What do you want? Duke, what do you want? Tuco. It is not even remotely verified, honey. What, dude? Well, Tuco's back. Yeah, Tuco's back, so I guess it's my job to get this started. How far do I have to nudge it before the vision takes over? There we go. Yeah, when Tuco wants to get my attention, he's very persistent about it. All right, well, there's that. Is this even the right screwdriver? Kind of. So I also realized I have a stream scheduled tomorrow, according to that new schedule that I'm trying out. And most of the work that I need to do right now is kind of like to make progress on the big projects is like software and editing, which, you know, I think we've established that doesn't make good television. But there's a bunch of other like random stuff that we can stream, and so I actually just got something at the P.O. box, which I will unbox tomorrow's stream, so at the very least we've got that. And then of course there's, you know, there's always ongoing projects we can tap into, or we can pop open another bold port kit and see where that takes us, or try to build something out of a combination of kits or bits of pieces we have around here. Yeah, I don't know. I have this tension between wanting, you know, wanting to be able to, you know, produce some kind of content consistently, because that seems, you know, that seems to just be necessary in order to continue having like any people kind of pay interest to what I'm doing. But then to also have enough like really good content that I feel like I can actually contribute something, rather than just, you know, it's like I don't want to just have everything just be like a vlog. I don't want to just, you know, have little snippets of like, well, here's what I did today on my project. I would ideally want some larger message or educational or motivational goal, or something that I can tie things in with that actually makes them more worthwhile, which is what I'm trying to go for. But if I try to aim for, you know, making everything as good as it can be, like for every single piece of content I produce, then like I don't end up releasing that much, and so I'm trying to find the right balance. Did I forget a screw? I mean, there are probably some screws under these pads. Just trying not to mash up my mouse too badly. Looks like there's one under this label. We could try to non-destructively remove this label. That might be a good thing to try to do. I think isopropanol might soften up the adhesive enough, and we can just lift it with a shim. A lot of these adhesives kind of switch from sticky to slippery when they're wet with isopropanol, without actually getting displaced that much. think these are gonna have like a single chip Nordic solution in them. Like if I remember it, these guys like use the NRF 24 series or something like that. Like maybe even the ones with the 8051, the L01s. This is not quite coming off. I might have to switch to a knife. Well, I've already ripped the sticker a little bit, so it's not quite non-destructive at this point. Oh, maybe I just scratched it. Now I can hear someone's music from the hallway. I hope I can just talk over it so the YouTube copyright bot doesn't take over my channel or something. Well, hey, at least now that the streams are on a separate channel, I'm a little bit less worried about that. Like content ID stuff on the streams. I mean, it still wouldn't be good. Like, they'd still... I don't know, like, I think the consequences are up to the copyright owner, so it depends on, like, what the track is. Usually it just means they start running ads on your video and you lose the ability to control some aspects of your video's like monetization settings and stuff. Which is annoying. It's not the worst thing, but it's frustrating. Just mostly from, you know, just this like loss of control point of view, really, because the, you know, like the actual money coming from YouTube is pretty small. Like it's, I mean, it's not zero, but that's basically just thanks to, you know, the occasional like super chat contributor, for example. The actual YouTube ad revenue I see is practically zero. I should probably just disable ads completely on the YouTube channel. I have it set to only run like non-annoying ads basically, and I figure most people have ad blockers anyway. Oh, that was the programming port. That wasn't even a screw. Cool. Well, that's neat. That's what you just said in chat, but that's fine. Alright, well, I'll just put that back on. So maybe I just need to pull harder. Now my fingers are sticky. It's not fun. There isn't anything under my sticker. I thought I already checked for that. My fingers actually have adhesive on them now, which is annoying. Oh geez, I guess the ink on these is soluble in isopropanol. Well, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. Oh, is that... Can I get these off? Yeah. Yeah, that helps. And that mostly leaves the adhesive intact if I just squirt a little isopropanol under there and kind of squidge it over with my fingernail. Are these the same kind of screws? Looks like it. Yeah, they wouldn't need it under there, but, you know, why not? I can get them off so easily now. It would be nice to make a wired version of this, because I don't really like it being wireless, usually. It's kind of convenient, but like I'd actually kind of prefer to just have a wire, usually. Like, I can understand having wireless mice, but like on a trackball, the whole point is the object doesn't move around that much. It doesn't really need to be wireless. It'd be more secure and more reliable if it just had a cord. Hugo must be hanging out outside again. I don't want to mess up the finish, like right on this edge that I'm going to have my hand on a lot. I'm trying to figure out how to actually get this open without damaging the plastic. And yes, I realize everyone out there has their own way of doing this, but I don't care. I'm doing it my way. So that snap was the cup that this ball was in, detaching from the top half of the shell. And I think in a non-destructive way. It seems really likely to scar up the edge if I do that. This is a little bit weird inside. Well, I was just trying to see like which pieces are attached to the top and which pieces are attached to the bottom. And so there's a separate circuit board right under here that has the tack switches on it, and it's got a little wiring harness going back to the main board, which is on the flat part. I don't understand what that picture is. This is really, It really feels like the top and bottom halves are still connected with something pretty sturdy, like in the vicinity of this area. Is there a screw under here? There couldn't be. Getting skeptical about my ability to open this thing without damaging it at this point, actually. It might be better to try cleaning it without opening it the rest of the way, but that makes this less useful for getting video footage, right? There's also a little light pipe here that I think I've already managed to slightly misalign. Maybe it's not too bad, actually. Like, yeah, it still closes fine, but it's still gunked up. Like, I need to clean this button out. There's also a strange hole right here, which seems like it would be a great place for a screw, but it's actually, like, I can just see a flex cable through there. What is going on? Wake up, controller. The label in the battery compartment, that's a good call. Does feel like there might be something under there. Let's try the isopropanol there. Huh. The sticker here says complies with IDA standards, and then Class 1 laser product. IDA, huh? I had not heard of that three-letter acronym. You know, other than the obvious, like, reverse engineering tool. This seems to be working. There's definitely a hole right there. What do you do as a moderator when there's some people who are just really enthusiastic and just want to talk all the time, and it's not bad, it's just too much, right? It's like, I don't want to be the asshole in the position of saying, don't talk about stuff you like, don't contribute, but it's also frustrating when sometimes it seems like the contributions are always coming from the same places. And I know that isn't like everybody. These things are really sticky when the isopropanol dries, which is nice. They're really sticky and they just want to be all over my fingers. No, stay over there. How many pads do I have? 4. Cool. Oh yeah, this is going to be really sticky as soon as it dries, if I get it on my fingers. I need to take this off a little more carefully. Yeah, I'm willing to get it all over this tool. It's fine. I should use the non-pointy end of it though, or I will tear the sticker. So I think the strategy here is to lift the sticker a little bit and then apply some isopropanol right under it at the edge. And then just let it release and then lift a bit more. Ideally without really pulling on the sticker much, although I think you can a little bit. I'm worried a little bit about washing adhesive onto the circuit board. It's probably not the worst thing to have on the board, but it might be not the best. Oh yeah, a lot of people use heat guns for labels. I would just worry about that making it more sticky against the plastic, but yeah, maybe that's worth a try. I'd be curious if people have used it in this particular circumstance. You gotta qualify requests for advice with, like, you know, stuff that works in this particular case, because a lot of times you'll just like ask for advice and then people will be like, oh yeah, I know of this thing that is completely not applicable to your situation and probably doesn't even actually work. And then you just get an inbox full of that. I've also seen people ask for stuff that they've personally tried and had success with, which is also a nice qualifier. But then sometimes you just want to cast the widest net and don't, you know, so it's good to actually make your intentions clear, because I think that's why some people respond to just like random requests like that with random answers, like despite not really having any relevant experiences, because some people are trying to cast a really wide net and sometimes it's helpful. So it's good to know when that's welcome. I might have hit the limit for how far I can go without actually pulling on this. Well, I don't actually have to take it all the way off. I could just take the take it off this bar and get to the screw if I want. I think I might do so just to save my time. Another of the same kind of screw. Oh, so much better. Okay, now there's a delicate flat flex for the optical sensor. All right. Alright, there's my cat hair infested mouse. Covered in isopropyl. So yeah, there's one light pipe here. There's the little, oh, this is a great component right here, actually. Wow. Oh, isn't that rad? I could just imagine using this as its own, as a little 3D printed component, or like put a 3D printed housing around this and then use this as a component in your own designs. This is really cool. Because it has all the supports built into this piece. It has 3 idlers there. It has an optical sensor. And the optical sensor has a camera, a laser, a little prism. Ah, that's really cool. And you could combine this with like arcade buttons. Yeah, I'm aware that arcades and stuff used to use controllers like this, but this is actually probably a nicer sensor, right? Like those were, you know, old school sensors would have had wheels along the inside here with their own optical encoders, whereas this is actually just measuring the movement of these little random speckles on the surface of the ball, which is pretty nice. And this is probably just going to be I2C or something. This is a great little part, and so how does it mechanically attach to its housing? It's got registration in like this axis with these little fins. It's got a shelf right here that it sits on, or that locks it in. This would be an awkward part to model in CAD, but with an accurate CAD model of this, you could build something around this that, I could imagine using this as like a robot part of some sort, like, use this as a caster wheel to measure motion. I could also imagine, just building like a faceplate for this to put it into arcade sensors or arcade cabinets. So I think these are actually little roller balls. They're very slippery. Yeah, I think that's probably Teflon or something, PTFE roller ball, inside of a little, I don't know what kind of plastic this is. It's probably ABS. Maybe Delrin, but probably ABS. It seems like ABS. It also looks like it was designed so that a lot of the force of just like resting your hand on this ball, if that were to happen, would end up kind of going through these fins like back into the table. So like that. Oh, it would be interesting if you could use this as a spherical input device. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a neat part, but it is expensive if you have to buy a whole mouse just to get this out, right? And, like, personally, I would much rather reassemble my mouse than build something weird around this particular part. But it's interesting to know about these. Keep that in that catalog of weird objects that are available for repurposing, right? Just getting some photos of this thing because it's cool. Yeah, that's neat. Okay. So that part doesn't really need much cleaning. I mean, obviously it's a little bit dirty, but this thing is pretty easy to clean from the outside, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. The thing I actually need to clean is this top housing, which is now pretty much devoid of electronics, which is good. So yeah, I'll clean this in a sec, and then reassemble it. It's got, what are these? Oh, that's like the lever arm that the buttons are mounted on. So the buttons are actually part of this piece of plastic, which is anchored way back here, which provides the springiness. And then there's the roller. Yeah, this whole piece could use some cleaning. And then there's a light pipe right here, which is removable. I guess might as well go ahead and remove that. Looks pretty easy to locate in terms of getting it back in the right place. It does use a different kind of screw than we've seen so far. Yeah, that's neat. This has a shape at the end that fits right into this top. A little triangular wedge there. That thing. Yeah, some folks in chat are pointing out that these sensors use optical flow. Yeah, they're usually like a very tiny camera that includes a combination of imaging, sensing, and processing within each pixel. So in addition to capturing an image, they can really quickly calculate motion of pixels to neighboring pixels and slightly further away neighboring pixels and so on, and then use that to figure out an overall vector for how much the overall motion under the camera has shifted the image. And some of these sensors actually do let you also request the image back from the camera. It's pretty low res, but a lot of times there's a debug register that lets you read back the actual image data. There's a little thing with the buttons. Well, with two of the buttons. Which buttons are those? Oh, those are the speed control buttons up here. These normally control the tracking rate. So that fits with these. That feature required an entirely additional little board up there. That's crazy. And then this is the middle switch, left and right switches. There's an optical sensor for the mouse wheel. This is going to be a single infrared LED, and then this package is going to be two side-by-side phototransistors for sensing the quadrature. And then, is that a Nordic part? Did I guess right? Oh no, that's an Atmel. where's the antenna? Let's maybe take this board out and get a better look at this board. This is a wireless mouse, and that's an Atmel, presumably one of the Atmel chips with sub-gigahertz radio built in. They might be using a PCB loop antenna on the back. This inductor is presumably for the boost, so they can run this whole thing off of one battery. You know, one AA cell in this case. Just take this board out and then I can clean all the plastics. I think these are different from the screw holding the light pipe, but so far all of these are the same as each other. There's a question in YouTube about whether this mouse has some kind of Logitech-related glue problem that causes the plastic parts to feel bad after a year. I can't say I've noticed that. I've had both of these for a couple years now, and they've been fine. You know, except for now, like, there's some kind of gunk inside the left mouse button on this one, which is why I'm taking it apart. Alright, that comes out. So we'll take care of cleaning the plastics in a bit. Oh, and this button comes out too. This is the on-off switch. Alright, so all the little parts are safe over here, and we'll clean the big parts. I think all of this can just be washed in a bucket or something. And here's the board. Oh, there is an NRF24 on the back. Cool. With a PCB antenna. That solves two problems. So yeah, back side of the board. That is a Nordic 2.4 gigahertz radio. Yeah, that's the 24L01 Plus, which I think is the one without a CPU built in. So that's just a radio with some hardware protocol state machine stuff around it, but no CPU. And then this one, the Atmel chip with the programming dot, is their main micro. Let's look at what that is under the microscope. Let's vise this. This nice Omron button. Is that their switching controller? GM22G? I mean, it could be a transistor, right? But it's labeled U1. And it could also just be a 3-pin switching controller. And it's attached to, like, ground across the diode, to the diode and inductor node. So this up here is the output, and that's the output filter capacitor. Oh, it's an Atmega 168. Neat. I wonder if anybody's tried programming this with the Arduino IDE. So yeah, this is going to have like an SPI bus for communicating with the Nordic chip, and then probably I2C, I imagine, maybe SPI for talking to the sensor over here. That's a 32 kilohertz watch crystal for sleep mode in the protocol, I imagine. Can we focus inside that LED? Kinda, the epoxy's fuzzy. EL on top of that phototransistor pair. Let's check the other side. There isn't much to see here, but it's a little bit interesting. This footage might help liven up some B-roll somewhere. Yeah, what would these transistors be for? Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if that's being used for like logic level conversion. Maybe for turning on and off the laser. Here's the Nordic chip. Oh, those are some beautiful surface mount inductors. Let's get a better view of that. Oh gosh, the pads are so sticky, they're sticking to my stick vise. Really, I need a non-stick stick vise, which is the ultimate contradiction in tools. A higher vise. Let's stick this in here. Avoids having to move the microscope down. It was at the end of the trowel for the microscope the way I had it set up. Oh. I did check my P.O. box, and there's something that I'll be going into on tomorrow's stream from the P.O. box. Oh, hey there, old friend. I've done some projects with this chip. I've written an emulator for this chip, actually. It's open source now. Don't know that anybody cares, but it exists. Oh yeah, can we go deeper? this microscope is reaching its limits here. Or maybe just the stability of my setup. That's pretty cool. What is that material? I can't quite tell what that's made of, if it's like etched copper or some kind of thin film deposited on some other substrate. I don't know. I would expect it to be a ceramic substrate, but then maybe they potted it in something and that's what the orange stuff is. The orange stuff does look like a layer over some... You can see some bumpiness from the wires. That's cool. Here's a NRF24 for scale. Here's a QFN lead for scale. Here's a VIA for scale. Oh, here's a battery spring for scale. I'm sorry I don't have any surface melt bananas. There's a switch. Yeah, so I don't know about these transistors. I mean, they're labeled Q, so I'm calling them transistors. Given that they have 6 legs, they might be transistor pairs. If they were single 6-legged transistors, I might expect the footprint to have multiple legs, like, connected together. And it doesn't seem like that. Like, I see at least 4 pins going to separate places. The big through holes are buttons. I don't know why this thing is bigger than a VIA. Is that a test point? I think maybe that is a test point. Just got soldered over during wave soldering. Yeah, here's some more. Cat hair. So, I mean, in this situation, I'm sure other people have reverse engineered this already, and it's not especially interesting to. But if we wanted to reverse engineer it, given that the radio is on a separate chip, it would be really easy to get some idea of what's going on just by looking at the bus between the 2 chips. And then you could figure out, like what to do next. You could already get an idea of what, like how it's configuring the radio, and you could get the packet contents. You could try modifying the packet contents. But yeah, in this case, I think I just want to clean it. We're back. Oh, all that talk about making tea, and then I went and didn't drink it. Oh yeah. Yeah, Kate Johnson in Twitch chat says impressive injection molding work. Very true. Yeah, I was impressed by the fit, and I was hoping not to damage it when taking it apart. And I'm glad we found that extra screw, and I didn't just try to brute force it. And it's nice, actually, they didn't use snaps on the edges that'll be hard to get off, so yeah, it should be easy to assemble and disassemble without any risk of damaging it, assuming you do it properly. So I think I'm gonna mostly focus on like this piece. I don't even know how much I feel like cleaning it. I mean, I should probably just like clean it a little bit, but it's not getting in, like nothing here is a problem. The actual problem area is under here. How does that come out? It looks like the whole button assembly might come out. Yes. So while pulling the buttons and the tabs, you can get them to pop out this way, and then through the top. This seems like it might want to come off too. I don't know. It looks like there's another assembly that's kind of pressed on, you know, in this axis, but it might be heat staked. I don't know. Look at this. Ultrasonic, yeah, we could try that. I don't know how this rubber feels like it might eventually have problems. It's starting to feel like a tiny bit gummy. Oh, there's a tiny screw right there. Just for these two buttons. Yeah, this is amazing injection molding. Seriously, some of this is actually really good. Like that's just a lot of work. These pieces fit in there. It's pretty cool. Wow, and the next piece doesn't come off. This is actually all, does it? No, I think this is all one piece. Jeez. Yeah, this tiny lever that the middle mouse button is on, I think this is all the same piece as the main body of the mouse. So there's the encoder wheel for the middle, the encoder for the wheel, rather, I guess. It's just on the wheel, which is a nice design. So that snaps into this arm here, which is free to flex a little bit, which is how the button works. And it's part of this. You can see some little tiny mold release marks right there. So there's a separate little movable portion of the mold that has to press just this arm out of the mold during each molding cycle. I know I just said mold like 50 times in that sentence. Wow, yeah, you can see the machining marks there. seems to just all be the same piece. It's just connected right around to here. Isn't that nuts? I'm really impressed. Yeah, so maybe we could just like take all the parts that can be ultrasonic cleaned and throw them in a bag and do that for a while. I'm not gonna subject all of your ear holes to that kind of nonsense, but let's at least get the process started and then I can sign off for the stream today. You know, I'm having second thoughts about this. I kind of just want to get back to work. I don't want to have to wait for the ultrasonic to heat up and do its thing. I'd really prefer to just get some more work done today. Where's the actual problem area here? I was figuring I would just find like something sticky right around here. Although it's possible just throwing it in the ultrasonic while I do something else is the quick solution. I could also just throw it in there without bagging anything and just use distilled water. Which is probably fine. Do I want to remove the stickers entirely? This is the least important piece to clean. I could just scrub this out under the sink, honestly. I'd get a bunch of gunk under the stickers, though, if I do that. It might be best to try to take the stickers off completely. I already had that one off. Just everything in the ultrasonic bath. Yeah, I mean, I could do the brush and IPA. I was mostly trying to either do something that didn't require much of my attention or that would make interesting video. The brush and IPA seemed like neither, but maybe it's still one of the better options. Oh, it's so sticky. Okay. Sticker is gonna go stick over here. Yeah. It's like, that is actually just gonna make a huge mess unless I add a bunch more isopropanol, actually. Maybe I need to get the bulk of this off with a wipe or something. Most of this mess is the leftover adhesive from my own label. The stickers I removed mostly took the adhesive with them, which is the plan. Ugh, this is not what I wanted to be doing. Just seal it in the bag and let the wiggling waves take care of it. At least get this boogery stuff off, because that's just going to make a larger mess than I want to have the ultrasonic have to deal with. The level of abrasiveness of this Kim wipe isn't too bad, actually. Like, the brush was a bit too much of a light touch, honestly. I couldn't really get that much of it off. But the wipe seems fine. I would have worn gloves, though. It's sticky all over my hands now. That's most of it. Ugh. Let's just put this in the ultrasonic with water. I have one of these tiny ones. It's not great, but it kind of works. Thought I was out of distilled water there, but I've got plenty. So yeah. Let's see how well that fits. And these pieces are even a little bit large to do multiple at a time, which is frustrating. I think if I stick most of the little pieces near the bottom, it'll be alright. wanted distilled water, just build a still, sure. I should replace this camera arm with just anything else. The locking lever just keeps hurting my hand. And there's a slightly different one from Manfrotto that just has a knob instead of a lever, and that one's probably less likely to injure me using it continuously. Alright, this is gonna warm up. Yeah, Mark mentioned this old Tony has a video where he tried to do an ultrasonic knife out of an ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, I think this is the same model he uses even. This thermistor is not... It is not 9 degrees Celsius in this place. It does seem to have some heat, though, that sort of works. I don't know how useful that is. And right here, you're just picking up reflections. A little bit of warmness in there, not much. That's what the ultrasonic sounds like. Just in case anyone was thinking of sticking around. Nope. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's maybe get a quick look at this before I end the stream. Oh gosh, it sounds terrible. I don't actually see anything. Usually there are some bubbles happening. I'm kind of reluctant to touch it with my fingers because I don't think it's very well electrically insulated. I mean, I don't want to touch the water while it's on anyway, but I mean, even just the metal work, I don't necessarily want to touch it while it's powered. Oh yeah, earplugs would be nice. I could put on my, that orientation seems to be a little better. I've got some ear protection actually. I'm gonna grab some. Yes, around here, these are video production headphones, right? That's what these are for. Emily asks if Tuco runs off when it's going. I don't see Tuco, as he wasn't like in this vicinity anyway. I think he was wandering off in the hallway anyway. Yeah, it's really hard to tell if this is actually doing any good. And I was hoping to have a better idea of where the actual problem spot was, so that I could have a better idea of whether this was helping, especially without necessarily having to fully assemble the whole thing before making any determinations to that effect. Just jostling stuff around a little bit seems to be, I don't know, seems to help a little bit. Just get different parts exposed to the high energy parts of the wave. Anyway, I think that's probably all I need to stream about today. I just felt like taking a quick look inside this on camera while I had to have it open anyway. And since now I can't even really hear myself speak, and you're all listening to this terrible noise, I think it's probably a good time to end this for today. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, anyone who's hanging out. If you somehow stumbled into this stream by accident but haven't seen any of the other better ones, then check out the archives. Scanlime-in-progress on YouTube. There's a bunch of old streams on my regular Scanlime channel, but the newer streams like this one are on the separate Scanlime-in-progress channel. And then the edited videos show up on the main channel and on scanlime.org. And thanks to all my beautiful Patreon supporters who make this possible. I would not be able to spend all of this time making videos and trying to figure out how to spread interesting knowledge and curiosity on the internet without, oh, it thinks it's done. Without all of you. I'm going to put it on for a little while longer because I don't think that was actually enough, but I can see some bubbles on the surface. Anyway, I'll catch you all later. Thanks again.